when a food giant, backed by the power of an oracle, came knocking. With a takeover in mind, Unilever decided it was better off solo. How does a company innovate? After a century of business, make a big splash, reinvent an old favorite. With an impressive stockpile of brands, will Unilever's vision for the future be enough to keep Wall Street smiling?
Let's talk about the incredible saga of Unilever, the European consumer packaged goods titan with a stock that's rallied around 30% year to date. This is no small cap stock either. This is a $160 billion behemoth. The closer you look at this story, the more impressive it gets. Remember, in February, Unilever, which makes Lipton tea, and Dove soap, Hellmann's mayonnaise, Fudgicle Pops, along with major brands, got a takeover bid from Kraft Heinz, which sent the stock soaring. Then management promptly rejected the offer. Good, because normally when that happens, the stock goes down. It's very rare to see the same stock go higher still, but that's exactly what Unilever did. They brought out more value in a short time than this potentially hostile acquirer could ever hope to do so. How did they do it? First, Unilever announced a strategic review to accelerate the creation of value for its brands, its shareholders, and by early last month, they came up with a plan focusing on the company's core brands, creating new products and developing new distribution channels like Amazon. Plus, you got a large dividend boost and a hefty shareholder buyback. Story got even better on April 20th. Unilever reported an excellent quarter with an improved outlook. Turns out this company's doing much better than we thought. No wonder they didn't want to accept Kraft Heinz's offer. It's been a juggernaut. Fabulous management. Can it keep climbing? It is my delight to invite to our set Paul Polman in the flesh, the CEO of Unilever, find out what's happening with this consumer package giant next. Mr. Polman, welcome to Mad Money. Good to see you, sir.
How you doing, Jim?
Thank you so much for coming on. Have a seat, Paul.
Thanks
All
for
right,
having
so
me.
walk me through what happened. I mean, you got a bid. Obviously, you didn't want to sell. It was obviously too low. But then you did a reorganization, and you brought out more value in that reorganization than anyone thought possible. Tell me that narrative, because it's quite incredible.
Well, obviously the value has always been there, but it's probably more visible now. When I became CEO, I decided to stop quarterly reporting and stop give guidance because I felt that it is probably time to bring the financial market back to sanity and just deliver. You know, I come from a part of the Netherlands where we keep our heads down and deliver, and delivered we have done. Our top line growth over the last 8 years has been 5% a year on average in a market that's only growing half. Our shareholder return has been over 200%. And in November last year, we announced our next program, which is called Connected for Growth, making the company even more innovative, faster. But we didn't put promises behind that. And then this attempted takeover bid came and tried to capitalize basically on the value that we have in our model. And we've gone out and said, we're driving our margins to 20%. We continue to believe in our long-term compounding model and working our portfolio perhaps a little bit more aggressively. A 12% dividend increase, which comes after 36 years of 8% a year.
Oh.
And
big buyback.
And there we go. And the market, unfortunately, if you want to, reacts to that and says, hey, wow, these guys are going to do it. The reality is we would have done it, but we rather celebrate it afterwards than talking about it before.
But you never sat down and had talks with these guys from Kraft Heinz. You were never interested in being bought.
Well, there are different models here. If you would have bought Unilever in 1986, let's say, and you put £1 in, we're a British company, you would have 68 pounds now. If you would have put it in the World Index or the AEX, you would have 17 pounds now. Okay. So it's a tremendous compounding story, Unilever, and we've only accelerated that in the last 8 years. So there is nothing wrong. Double the market growth, enormous returns, and here you see two conflicting models. Us, a long-term compounding growth model, and someone here that really hasn't proven that they can grow.
Well, and clearly Warren Buffett didn't want it. And he's a big investor. He would never come after you and do anything.
Well, in the end, our strategy, in fact, in investing is Warren's strategy. Right. And my returns have been higher in the last 8 years than Warren's returns. So I think it's better if he leaves us with what we know how to do well.
Well, I want to emphasize to people that you really are a different kind of executive. When you go and listen to this man, unfortunately I have to wake up at 2 a.m. to do it, but that's all right. You hear about a long-term view, and the long-term is working out. So let's go over some of the things. First, one of the reasons why I respect what you're doing, 46% of your executives are women. 57% of your sales are emerging markets. Nobody has those kinds of statistics. What is in your culture that's happening?
Well, and half of our board is women as well, and
because that's who buys this stuff.
Yeah. No, this is a unique company. When it started in the end of the 19th century with Lord Lever in England, it invented bar soap. And the simple purpose was to make hygiene commonplace. 1 out of 2 babies in those days, Victorian Britain, didn't make it either past year 1. So Lord Lever, as he became known afterwards, said very simply, let's make Sunlight, or let's make Lifebuoy, he even called it Lifebuoy, to help a child reach the age of 5 if you want to.
So it's always been health-oriented.
And oriented towards multiple stakeholders. He called it shared prosperity. We focus entirely on the consumers that we serve and the multiple stakeholders we have in our model. And by doing that very well, our shareholders benefit.
But you also are not afraid to trim. I mean, you got rid of we use all your spreads at home.
Right.
But you decided that wasn't growing fast enough, but then you swapped into something that this is the new one that we use.
Well, the market is changing very fast, Jim,
Right.
and consumers are changing very fast. And you have 2 millennial kids, and they're totally different from what we were. And normally the saying would go, wait till they start working and pay tax and they turn out like us. It's not the case anymore, and you know it.
You can't. They won't go unless you do this.
Yeah. No,
you knew this. How do you know it? You're an older guy like me. How do you know?
Well, I have 3 kids as well, your age, so that helps a little bit. They keep us on our toes. But the reality is, I will not be judged by the numbers now and how well I do now, although we do reasonably well. I really want to be judged how well this company does 10 years after I'm gone. And what you need to do is to be sure that your portfolio is future fit. Right. And what you see is consumer direct, so we bought Dollar Shave Club.
Right.
Millennials are Ben & Jerry consumers, 7th generation consumers. We just bought a very cool brand, Sir Kensington.
Yes, which I love. This we put on all of our sandwiches.
It's a great brand.
Well, I've got to stop you. I got to go back. Don't like to interrupt because you're distinguished. You're great, but you got to go back and tell the story about Dollar Shave Club because it's the antithesis, and I've switched to it. Okay, it's the antithesis of the enemy, Gillette. Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting. On YouTube, it's crazy. It's crazy, but crazy good.
Yeah.
How did you know?
Well, Michael, who runs it, is obviously a crazy guy and is a very good guy, and he understands that business. And one of the things we do when we associate ourselves with these successful companies, we just let them run it. Right. And we say, you just come to us if we can help you, but you run it. And he's running it very well. Last year, he was up again 50%. This business has now a 20% volume share of the shaving market. You see the market reacting. He's onto something. If you go to a store and try to buy razors, if you can find them at all, either you pay a fortune for something you don't need, or you're being treated like a criminal because it has to be behind the counter and you'll have to wait, your shackles come off, and finally you might get one, but you first have to put the money down.
But so this works quite differently. He stayed. He likes you.
Well, he's a cool guy, and we try to learn from him to be cool as well, and then you stay. But it's about the values that he brings. He's trying to revolutionize the market. It's clearly a disruptor in his own field, and we should celebrate those people.
Well, you have had the best. I want to make everyone understand in the consumer products, you have had the best numbers, and it's because you think long term and it's working. I'm going to congratulate you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Big deal. It's a big deal that you're here. That's Paul Polman, CEO of Unilever. I can't believe after 48 years, I switched to Dollar Shave Club. Mad Money's back.
There you go. And still more to do.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.